In this video, I'm going to introduce a new type of MATLAB variable, which is the array. Arrays are everywhere in MATLAB. It's the most important and mostly used type of variable. Okay, what we've seen is the single variable, okay, where we assign a value to a variable, okay, for example, x equals 1, x equals pi, or whatever. So whenever we call x, we get the value 1 or pi, all right? Now with array is different because array can contain or store multiple values, okay? So we basically have a list of values which can be ordered using positive integers, all right? So how do we do that? Well, first let me go to the right folder. Okay, here, and well, there are several ways. There are actually many ways of creating arrays. There are many types of commands to create all sorts of arrays in MATLAB. Here, I'm just gonna show you the main few, right? So, I'm gonna create an array x, which is basically a list of value x, which contains the values 1, 5, -7, and 203. So what I'm going to do is call it x first. So x is the name of my array, and then I'm going to put bracket 1, which means that the first value in the array x is going to be equal to, and here I can put any value I want. So for example, here 1, and semicolon, so I don't print the result. And see now, in the workspace, the array x has been created. It only has one value at the moment, okay? But then if I change to 2, okay, x of 2 will be a second entry, or the second value stored in the array x, okay? And for example, 5. So now my array should contain two values, and you see x is 1, 5, all right? And I can continue like that. So x of 3, the third value of the array, here is -7. And the fourth value of my array should be 203. All right. So now my array should contain 4 values, 1, 5, -7, and 203. How can I visualize these values? Well, you can simply print the array. And to print in MATLAB, you just type the name of the variable. Okay, so here the variable is x, so I just type x, enter, and you see I have my list of values, 1, 5, -7, 203. Okay. Now another important thing is that once I have stored all the values in an array, how do I access them if I want to reuse them, for example? Okay, well, all you have to do is the reverse of how you have done it to define them. Okay, so if I want to access, say, the second value of the array, okay, then I simply type x of 2, okay, which means it's going to look in the array x and take the second entry, which is 5, and the answer is 5 indeed. Okay, I can do the same thing for 4, for example, and we're going to take the fourth value in the array, which is 203. All right. Now, it's important to realize that the ordering starts from 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the first, second, third, and fourth value of the array. In some other programming language, okay, the first value starts at 0. Okay, but here if I try to enter x of 0, okay, MATLAB is giving me an error because all the indices, okay, should be positive, right? So the first value is x of 1, and which is 1, of course, as we can see here. Okay, so that's the most simple way of creating array. It's you have complete control on all the values of the array. You define them manually. Now there are tricks, okay, and other type of functions which can be used to create fast kind of arrays, okay, but there are specific kinds of array as well. So I'm going to show you a couple here. First, this is the zeros command. So the zeros command, which is simply called zeros like that, well, simply it's going to create an array which is filled with zeros, okay? And all we have to specify is how many elements there is in the array. So I'm going to call y, okay, a new variable y. And now zeros is a function, so it requires input variables. So here you need two input variables. The first one you should put 1, and the second one you should put the size of your array, or the number of elements in your array. So for example, if I want to create an array which contains 30 zeros, okay, then I just put 30 here, right? Put semicolon, okay, so now I have defined y, okay, and y appears now in the workspace here. And if I want to print y to make sure I get it right, well, you see I got my list of 30 zeros everywhere here, okay? So it works. Now why do I have the 1 here? Because actually the 0 command can be used to create tables of 0, okay? So 1 will be the number of rows, and so the first entry 1 will be the number of rows, and 30 here will be the number of columns, okay? So here I simply want to create a one-dimensional list, okay? So I have only 1 row and 30 columns, right? So 0 is very important, as you will see when we're gonna create arrays to define recurrences, okay? But that's gonna be for another video. Now there is another type of array command I would like to introduce because it's very useful, and it's to create array with successive values, right? So for example, if I want all the successive value between 1 and 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. until 10, okay? Well, there should be a way to create it faster than to enter x of 1 equals 1, x of 2 equals 2, etc. until x of 10 equals 10. And there is, okay? So there is a fast array command. So let's call it z equals, and all you have to do is 1 colon 10. And MATLAB will recognize that as creating an array with all the values from 1 to 10, all the integer value, I should say between 1 and 10. Okay, but the good thing about that is that we can start from any integer and end to any integer. So for example, if I want all the integers between -3 and 8, I simply start from -3 and end to 8. And here, let's give it a different name. Let's call it W, for example, okay? All right, so let's see that it works. If I print Z, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 etc. until 10. And if I print W, I have all the values, all the integer value between -3 and W. Okay, good. And just so as a reminder on how to access entries in arrays, well, let's try to access, for example, the 5th entry in the array Z, which would be exactly 5, of course. So all I have to do is Z of 5 in brackets, okay? And if I do that, I get exactly 5 because it accesses, like that, the 5th element of the array Z. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's indeed 5. I can do the same thing for W, okay? So if I want to access, say, the 3rd element of W, which should be -1, as we see here. There you go, I have -1, the 4th should be 0, and it is, and the 11th should be 7, okay? See? The array W has 12 elements, okay? We go from -3 to 8, which contains 12 elements, and the 11th, of course, is 7, that one. And this is what I get here. Okay, so this ends the video on arrays, okay? There are many more commands that can be used in MATLAB to create all kinds of arrays, okay? I'm just gonna limit this introduction to these commands because they are the most important ones and the ones we're gonna use in this course.